Hello, everybody. It's Meteorologist Joe Martucci here at the Press of Atlantic City. It is time for the Something in the Air podcast, brought to you, new episodes, first and third Wednesdays of every month here. And again, we always do the first Wednesday of the month with New Jersey State climatologist Dr. Dave Robinson. The third Wednesday of the month, we reserve for special guests. We have a special guest in the building today. We have Avalon Mayor and Cape May County Office of Emergency Management Coordinator, Marty Pagliughi. Mayor, thanks for being here today. Hey, we appreciate it. How you doing?
All right. How are you? Happy New Year.
And thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. I would say a lot has changed for me in the past 2 weeks. Just got married last Friday. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Took the plunge. So I am currently on day 5 of married life. Do you have any advice for me on day 5? Do you know what you were doing on day 5 of married life?
I'm on day 45 years. So yeah, whenever you want to get together, I think I can give you some pointers.
All right, good. Yeah, we'll make it happen. So far, it has been so good here. So you have been, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're a OEM coordinator since 2012 and mayor of Avalon since 1991.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so you've been mayor as long as I've been alive.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me.
No, well, that just means you have a lot of experience.
Yeah, I gave up birthdays. I don't have birthdays anymore.
Okay, I got you. So let me ask, how many people in New Jersey have been mayor longer than you?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I never researched it. I don't care, really.
You might be on the Mount Rushmore. Maybe in New Jersey.
No, I don't think so. I think there was a couple of mayors over the years that have. I remember hearing one I thought was 45 years. But
well, we still got time. We still got plenty of time.
No, I don't know.
All right.
That's going to be one of the points that I'll give you in marriage, because to go another term, we're going to ask my wife. You know?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we just had we had some cake here to celebrate a little bit earlier, and we were talking about different wedding venues. And I said, well, I didn't mind to go to this wedding venue, but she wanted to go to this one. So we went to that one. So I'm learning happy wife, happy life is the way to go. Yeah. So let's start off with this, so being mayor since 91, what's the biggest difference you've seen in Avalon in your 29 years? And what's the biggest thing that's remained the same?
Well, I think it's the development that we've had in the last 20 some years. I mean, we've done a lot. It goes along with a lot of the actually emergency management and mitigation efforts and our CRS rating system. We managed to get a AAA bond rating. So basically Moody's had put in the application, and when it came back, that one of the reasons, one of the points that we got because we have a AAA bond rating is because Avalon's a good risk. We've taken a lot of efforts into, like I said, flood control mitigation,
right.
Beach replenishment. We were one of the first towns to do major beach replenishment projects back in the late 80s, early 90s, and all through the years 2000s. But I think that's been the development. Our rateable base is up close to $9 billion. And that's pretty good for
that's really
a town
good.
That's 5 miles long by a quarter of a mile wide. We've got a very high rateable base, and we have a very low tax base. So it's, like I said, made the town desirable.
Right.
And because it was desirable, the development has taken off like crazy in the last 15, 20 years.
Right. You mentioned risk, and I have to bring up a big coin flip that you had 10 years ago, 11 years ago now in 2010, and you won that one. So you're a pretty good risk taker, right? Tell me about the beach fill project back in 2010 with you and Sea Isle, where there was a coin flip, right? And you got it correct.
Well, we got lucky on that one. It was came down to who was going to start first, and we challenged. The two mayors got together and said, "How are we going to solve this? Very simple. Let's toss a coin." Mm-hmm. So we walked up on the Townsend's Inlet Bridge, right on the borderline, tossed the coin, and Avalon got lucky.
But so I believe that was on your end, $4.5 million for that beach fill that I saw. So you definitely want to go first when you're spending that kind of money. What side did you choose, heads or tails?
What was that again?
What side did you choose, heads or tails?
Oh, I think I chose heads.
Okay. All right. Now, what do you think I should bet on for the Super Bowl? Should I bet heads or tails on the coin flip this year? Because I'm going to need some help.
Oh, that depends who's playing. That's all.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I should have came back to you. This should have been our first Wednesday of the month edition for February. Could have came back and told you that. So, just to go a little further back, how'd you make your way towards Avalon? Just kind of give us, growing up, where you grew up and what brought you to Avalon.
Well, basically, I was born and raised in Byron, and we kind of came down in college with a bunch of guys and rented a house. We started out as renters, and it's like I tell people, I said I came down from college and never went home. It was basically
pretty good place to be.
Good place to live, right?
Yeah, gotcha. So you pretty much for most of your life has been in Avalon. Then it's just a short period of when you were just young, you were in Vineland. So you've seen obviously Avalon change and remain the same over that period of time. And when it comes to the weather, I know you have to incorporate weather in your job for emergency management, but just being by the beach, did you have like a newfound appreciation for the weather once you were along the shore?
Well, I guess we started right out. I seem to be having a black cloud over my head no matter what I do, because like I said, when I became mayor in 1991, the following year we had the 92 Halloween storm. So we got a real lesson real quick. I go back to when we were kids. Our parents had a duplex in Whale Beach at the end of between Strathmere and the end of Sea City.
Right.
And it was wiped out in a 62 storm. Uh-oh. It was actually beachfront. And at the time, there was no flood insurance. There was no backup insurance. The Corps of Engineers came in and built the dune line and condemned all the properties on the beachfront. So we lost everything. But we were coming to Avalon, and Sea City for years before I decided to settle down here.
Right. Gotcha.
And then when I took the job with the county in 2012,
I was going to get to that.
2 months later, we had Hurricane Sandy. So like I said, I got a black cloud over my head when I move somewhere or do something.
Are you planning on taking any new jobs from here on out that we should be aware of? I'll make sure to stay away. Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah, stay away.
Okay. Gotcha. So with emergency management, I always like to bring emergency managers on because I feel like, emergency managers are, I want to say, underappreciated by everybody here in the public. And I'll say even myself included before I took this job at the press, the work that you're putting in to make sure that everybody is safe. And especially, with a coastal county. I mean, I'm just going to repeat what everybody knows. We have hurricanes, we have nor'easters, coastal flooding. Tell me, what is, your relationship with the weather in terms of emergency management? Like, can you give people just a couple of examples where weather is playing into your emergency management job for Cape May County? Because you're not just dealing with the full-time residents and you're not just dealing with seasonal residents, but the many visitors who come down for day trips or weekends as well.
Yeah, well, weather is especially in a peninsula like Cape May County, weather is probably at the top of the list of potential hazards. We watch it constantly. We monitor it constantly. And like people say, well, what else do you do in emergency management? I said, well, we manage emergencies, and it's not only weather emergencies. We're working on updating plans year round. We're involved with, for example, wildfires, any other potential disasters that could happen. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't just have to be weather. As you know, we're updating the county all hazards mitigation plan right now. And actually, the other part of that plan is all the municipalities in the county are also updating their emergency operating plan. Now, that plan is not open to the public because it's got a lot of confidential information on how to respond to these different emergencies. And what we don't want is the bad guys to see what we're doing. It's got a lot of contact information, phone numbers, names, every radio frequency of every first responder in the county. And we're constantly updating that response plan. Right. And it's based on a emergency support function by the federal government. We updated all of the municipal plans, I guess, back in 2016, right after we finished the other hazard mitigation plan, which identifies the hazards. The emergency operating plans were all upgraded and set in the same format. We use an ESF format, which is emergency support functions 1 through 15.
Right.
Like, for example, ESF1 is transportation, ESF6 is sheltering, and goes on from there. ESF10, law enforcement. And each one of those categories has what the response for those different agencies would be to a particular type of emergency.
Right. And we're going to talk about that more in the second half as well. You know, we're going to talk about the hazard mitigation plan, your history with it. We're going to talk about saving on flood insurance too. Let's go back to the weather a little bit here. So how have you been liking our this winter and last winter so far, where you guys have seen maybe 6 or 7 snowflakes in the past 15 months?
Yeah, if that. I mean, we've been pretty lucky with the snow. Actually, last year when we had those 4 northeasters back to back, that got a little crazy.
Yeah.
The biggest problem we have with that is, most of the towns are very susceptible to beach erosion and back bay flooding.
Right.
So so far this year we've been lucky. Knock on my table is wood here.
That's good. I'll knock on it with you.
Lucky so far, but like I said before, that's a big part of our job is to monitor the weather. 5 days, 7 days, 2 weeks out, actually, to be prepared for it.
Right. And, I would love to say if the answer is me, and I know we do text back and forth, but where are you getting your weather information from? Is there somewhere, where in terms of just one-on-one conversations?
Well, the 2 primary sources is the National Weather Service in Mount Holly and the National Hurricane Center in Miami.
Yeah.
We monitor those 2 sites 24 hours a day.
Right.
They're the 2 primary sources. And then when we want to get it down to a local level, I call you.
There we go.
Or I call my friend Jim Eberwine.
That's Jim Eberwine's great friend of the show.
He's actually been a weatherman longer than I've been a mayor. So if you want to talk to an old guy, you call him up.
We've actually had him on. I had him on, maybe 2 years ago. He was one of the first people we had. And, Jim is one of my 2 meteorological fathers that I have. So it's Jim and then New Jersey State climatologist Dave Robinson. Those are my weather parents. You can be my OEM parent. How about that?
Okay, that's fine.
All right, cool. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a brief break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about that hazard mitigation plan, because if you live in Cape May County, this plan is very important. And we're going to talk about ways that the county and the town is saving you money on flood insurance. This is Something in the Air podcast. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Something in the Air podcast, brought to you by the Press of Atlantic City. We have Avalon Mayor and Office of Emergency Manager for Cape May County, Marty Pagliughi. We just dubbed him my OEM parent just now to go along with my meteorological parents. But it is great to be with you here. And as we turn towards the second half of this broadcast, I want to talk about a couple of things that I know are very near and dear to your heart with the county, and that is the hazard mitigation plan. And you had a public review meeting on the second Monday of January. I'm looking at my calendar. And this is important because it opens up the county to grants from FEMA, which is always very helpful. It also can help with flood insurance, which we'll talk about too. So, my first question to you is, where can people see this plan?
We're going to put it on the emergency management website as soon as the draft is completed. And I believe it's going to be completed by next week. Okay. So it'll be up on the county website. People will be able to review it for a 30-day period before the final version is all signed off within the county and sent to FEMA.
Right. So these are updated every 5 years, and all of the municipalities in Cape May County come together to put forward a county plan. But that's not always the case, right? Not all the towns have to be together in this.
Yeah, but we were lucky because every municipality participated in the first plan and actually participated more in the updated plan that we're doing now. Right. So they're all pretty concerned, and they're all very active with emergency management.
Sure.
I give a lot of credit to a lot of the mayors that push this. There's actually a couple of the mayors that are emergency management coordinators for their towns.
Okay.
Avalon for about 20 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the towns have an annex section, and we opened it up more to the municipalities this time and more to the public in the municipalities with the public hearing. And we put a survey monkey out on our website regarding the plan. because we feel that nobody knows their town better than the local residents and the local emergency managers. What are their biggest risks? What are the problems they have with storms or other potential hazards? So this plan is a lot more expanded with local participation than the 2016 plan. Now, if people want to look at the 2016 plan to get an idea how this is all structured, they can go on our emergency management website, Cape May County Emergency.net, and scroll about halfway down the page, and you'll see Hazard Mitigation Plan 2016, Volume 1 and 2. They're pretty extensive. The new revision that comes out will be in Volume 1 and 2, and it's going to be a lot more expanded than the one that we did in 2016.
So, why should somebody care? Why should somebody who lives in Middle Township, want to read this plan?
Well, it gives the public an idea of what the hazards are. And it's not just weather hazards. It identifies all different hazards that are potential for that municipality. So if people want awareness, they can get an idea of what's important to watch out for. Why would I watch for weather bulletins? If I get a weather alert on my cell phone, do I want to look it up? What could happen? If there's wildfires, we don't have the area that we have to be as concerned with, for example, earthquakes, but it's in there. Tsunamis,
Tsunami.
And if you go back to 2012, whoever heard of the word derecho?
Yeah, right.
Or in 2014, whoever heard of the word microburst?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like all new types of weather hazards are coming out. And the plan actually addresses, what the potential dangers are. And like I said, the hazard mitigation plan is really part of a two-part plan. The other part is the emergency operating plan, which actually goes into detail on how we would respond to those different emergencies.
Got it. So, every 5 years you are updating with something new. I have to imagine that there's one major event that's updated in the 2021 plan, and that would be COVID-19. And is that correct?
That's correct. Like I said, we expanded this plan, and one of it is, pandemics, which really wasn't addressed before, but within the last year, we have a lot of experience with that. Mm-hmm. So the plan is going to address pandemics, and it's also going to address sea level rise. Like I said many times to people, whether you believe in it or not, it's happening. So it's something that we have to start to look at right now. Now, the problems of rangeability are all over the place. I mean, it could be a problem 10 years from now, and some scientists are saying it's going to be a problem 50 or 100 years from now. But the rate of hazard is increasing, whether we like it or not. So it's time to start to address that problem.
Right. And, with sea level rise, I tell people all the time when I talk, it's not like we're all going to, die tomorrow from sea level rise. This is a very slow and gradual process, but it is a real one. And we do see, things like real estate, value lost. And we're seeing more floods on, just think about Atlantic City on the Black Horse Pike. That ruins, the economy for a couple of hours. If you can't get a truck to deliver goods into Atlantic City because of coastal flooding, well, that impacts the economy. So they are real things that you are addressing here. And just going back to, coronavirus, I think when you were telling me you started drafting this plan about 8 months ago, so you have to deal with everything coronavirus related, making sure there's testing sites, making sure people are safe, but then you also have to build this plan. So, have you been sleeping at night?
It's not, to be honest with you, that the coronavirus started, we started to feel the effects of it in February, but we started the year out with a surprise visit by President Trump. That was major undertaking. It gave us 3 weeks to plan the whole security detail behind that visit. Everything outside of the Wildwood Convention Center was OEM's responsibility, working with local law enforcement, bringing in resources from outside the county. Actually, Marine 2, the helicopter, he landed about 200 feet from my office. So we were hunkered down for quite a few hours that day with our emergency management team. Communications were our responsibility, radio communications, frequencies, that all came under our preview. Then came the coronavirus, and then we had some of the social unrest protests in the spring. And then we were watching the hurricane season with the record number of hurricanes this summer. So we we were glued to the National Hurricane Weather Site, every day, almost 24 hours a day. But it's been an interesting year.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a year that we'll be talking about for a long time, and maybe 2021 as well. Going back to the plan, and you said, each town has a little annex, to talk about the different hazards. So could you give me a couple of examples? Do you know any offhand? I mean, could you talk about Avalon at least? Like, what are the specific town hazards that some towns have put in?
Well, each one of the annexes is for what the towns identified as what they feel is some of their major hazards that have to be addressed. I know quite a few of them have looked at elevating roadways, changing building ordinances. With the new flood elevation, they're changing different codes in their construction ordinances. Stormwater pump stations, for example, Avalon has a problem in the north end of the island with a sort of a basin when it comes to rain flooding. When we get some of these heavy storms that you're getting 2, 3, 4 inches of rain an hour, we get a flooding problem. We're addressing that, and the hazard mitigation plan is identifying it, and then come back in the annex and the operation plan to address that problem over the next couple of years. The thing with the plan is, it's actually, like I said, identifying these, because now you can start the planning on how to correct it. And you're not going to raise the elevation of a road in 1 year. It may take a year of engineering and surveying and getting ready for that flood project. It takes probably 8 months, 9 months to do specifications and a hydraulic study to put in a pump station for stormwater, tidal flooding. Bulkhead ordinances are being raised. There's a whole series of things that the towns have addressed in their annex that they could plan for now over the next 5 years.
Got it. And, you mentioned coastal flooding a little bit before. We'll turn to that. And we'll talk about the community rating system, which is a part of FEMA. And what that is it's a service that allows towns to get discounts on their flood insurance premiums, which I think it's every town pretty much in Cape May County. We get some kind of discount. And you, along with Sea Isle City, are pretty much leaders, not only in New Jersey, but across the country. You have 35% discounts on your flood insurance premiums, which is a good chunk of change. It was, I think we calculated it out to be 1.6 million in 2020 that residents in your town were saving. So, talk about, what you've done over the past couple of years to really fortify the town, for sea level rise.
Well, we actually, every town has to apply to get into the community rating system. And it took us almost 20 years to get up to the 35% discount. It started out by looking at raising the elevation of existing borough buildings. A lot of the buildings were built 50, 60 years ago, and we put in some major capital improvement projects to raise all public buildings, which we did over a 10-year period to the new flood elevations. Bulkhead ordinances, raising the bulkheads, putting a uniform bulkhead ordinance in place along the bayfront, beach replenishment projects, engineered profiled beaches and dune system for coastal storm surge. It was a whole series of things. The biggest part of it was the emergency alerting systems, public awareness, to be able to get the message out to the public that there's going to be a flooding situation and incident coming. So it was a whole series of things, and it took quite a while to get it, and we're still working on it. Actually, we're ready to submit for the next round, which should know next year if we're going to go to a 40% discount.
And that's pretty incredible. So just to let people know, how unique, Avalon is right now. There's only there's only 13 municipalities in the entire United States, I believe, that has a class 3 CRS rating, which gets you 35%. Does that number sound right? One of 13?
Yeah, that's correct. There's very, very few nationwide. And
very few.
I said,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
We've taken a big stand on that in the last 20 years because we live in a precarious position. We're in a barrier island. I mean, we're surrounded by water. So it behooves us to pay attention to it and don't wait until there's an emergency flooding constantly. Because like I said, these projects, they're not done overnight. Sometimes it takes 2-3 years by the time you get the permits, approvals, DEP gets involved, CAFRA. It's a whole series of things, plus the hydraulic studies that take quite a while. The computer modeling is done over maybe a 4 to 6 month period. Right. There's a lot that goes into it. So you don't wait until it gets to be a disaster, and then try to plan for it. So we've done this over a 20-year period.
And just to take a step back, so what it is it's from class 10 to class 1. So class 10 would be 0%, class 9 is 5%, class 8 is 10%. You just keep going 5% up with every class rating. So you get to 35% at level 3. And most of Cape May County does get a discount on their flood insurance. Is there any town that doesn't?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if all 16 communities. Well, it would be mainly the Barrier Island communities and parts of Cape May and Lower Township that are in the floodplains.
Right.
Dennis Township may be looking at it where they have some river and lakes with some potential flooding. Same as Upper Township. It's not a big issue for them.
Right. Some towns it's not a big issue. If there's no real flooding, then there's no real issues. But there are inland towns, even in states like Tennessee or Kentucky that do apply for these CRS ratings just to get discounts on flood insurance for maybe, those couple of houses that live along a river or, a creek or something like that.
Right. But it's not just coastal flooding. It's river flooding. And if you notice, there was I'm trying to remember the hurricane 3 years ago, where the suburbs of Houston were completely inundated by rainwater. They had 30, 40 inches in 24 hours or something like that. You had neighborhoods that went underwater that never went underwater before in the history of the town. Yeah. And I doubt very much if many of them had flood insurance. No. But if they did, they would have been covered.
Yeah, and that was Hurricane Harvey in 2017, August 2017 that came through. And that was an active year for them because they had multiple storms that went through that same area. So there's a lot of water there. So yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be just the coast. It can be well inland as well. Let me ask just real quick, level 2, class 2 is the next step. Do you see that happening in the near future for you? Is that a realistic goal?
Like I said, we're filing our applications now to upgrade. And I feel pretty confident that we're going to reach that.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. So what we'll do now is we're almost out of time here. We have about another 2 minutes or so. Couple of quick questions for you. Now this is one I've actually been really curious about. And I don't know why this is in New Jersey. So I want to talk about beach badges for a second. All right. Why is it that Cape May County's beach badges are so much cheaper than Monmouth County beach badges? I did a little bit of research on this. So Cape May County, the most expensive seasonal badge is $40. That's in Cape May Point, and 4 towns are free. In Monmouth County, no beaches are free, and 4 seasonal badges are over $100. Are they just greedy up there?
I can't answer that question. I can tell you that we started a beach utility fund. It's a whole separate fund, a whole separate budget. And we feel that whatever it costs for operation of that beach, that's what we take in. It's kind of like, it's a utility. A dollar of revenue comes in for $1 of services. And what people don't realize, it's not just trash collection by the public works people, but for example, I've got over $700,000 in salaries and wages for lifeguards in the summertime. And we have over $1.5 million in interest on beach fills on the bonds that we're paying every year. So actually, the beach the tags don't cover the whole budget. We always have to supplement some money from the general fund into the beach utility fund.
Okay.
But can't answer that question. Like I said, our budget for the beach utility, with the revenue that comes in from beach tags to the expenses that go out through the borough, we can justify the whole thing, and it's open to the public. Anybody can ask for a copy of it. So you can't say that we're just raping people to get the money in to boost our revenue. We're actually using that money to operate the beach.
Right. Just curious. Always a question I had. I think here's one I think you can answer, though. Just let everybody know what this sauce versus gravy deal is about, because if you listen to our video back in October, you had quite the answer for this.
The way I always understood it, and you have to be Italian to appreciate it, if it does not have meat in it, it's sauce. If it has meat in it, it's gravy. It may be the same color, but it's 2 different names.
All right. Same. I never grew up with that. It was just always sauce. Gravy was something you poured on your mashed potatoes, but to each his own. To each his own. All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to wrap it up. This was actually a good talk. I appreciate you coming on and chatting with us virtually. we'll have to get together sometime soon so you can tell me about marriage. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully I can get some good tips with that. Anything else before we wrap on up?
Nope.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you again to Mayor Marty Pagliughi of Avalon, also Cape May County Office of Emergency Management Coordinator, for coming on. We'll be back with you the first Wednesday of February. We're going to recap the month of January that was. Saying this on January 14th, it has been very quiet so far. We'll see what the second half brings. So until then, everybody, take care, stay safe. We'll talk.